Okay, so it's kind of it's about 9 p.m. right now, but kind of getting a little bit conscious of the timing. Um, but anywho, so haven't really felt like recording a video like or a vlog for about a week now. It's technically speaking day 9 of basically this streak. But to give you sort of a recap, since about a week ago, so I got through about 34 or 35 days. Basically I kind of powered through the last like month or so of school, finished up, graduated, um, and I guess just sort of the buildup of all the stress and anxiety from that month or so, um, plus just sort of feeling of listlessness from like having graduated and all the drama concerning getting those requirements waived and making sure I had my my degree, all that just kind of I guess got to me. I kind of finally like burnt out, if you will, and ended up relapsing and binging for a few days there. And sort of a strange thing happened. It really wasn't all that comfortable, to put it lightly, but I got sick. I got a cold, and I was sick for about a week. And that ironically enough, it jump started this whole streak that I was just too sick, too tired, and obviously it wasn't gonna go fall back into PMO for at least those. I mean, definitely not those first few days, and then I kind of just created enough momentum that I've been kind of moving forward um, with the whole NOFAP deal again, and it was kind of weird because as I was relapsing, I was progressively starting to feel sicker and sicker, and then the final part of the whole binging thing, I definitely felt it just kind of take off, and after that, I was just like, okay, I'm sick, I'm feeling sick, and it's sort of thing that's happened in parallel in the past, or has coincided in the past with me relapsing and then getting sick, and I really don't know if it's a matter of just like the fact that I'm expending energy, or I'm dehydrated afterwards, or I'm just like generally speaking in a state or place where like I'm susceptible to getting sick at that point. But that's essentially what happened. Um, but I was able to, you know, pick myself up again, and um, I have been slipping a bit with work, but I was able to get myself back on track and um, going through a decent week since then. However, um, what is happening right now is that in about 3 months this September, they're basically putting the internship program up on ice, putting on a hiatus, and so essentially, I'm starting. I mean, I've already been feeling it in a sense, wanting to like look elsewhere and expand my experience and go maybe work in a different industry or work further in this industry, but at the next level, so to speak, given that I've graduated. Um, so basically, over the next 3 months, I'll be looking for a new internship or a job. I know some places do, have internship opportunities even if you graduate, like you're a recent graduate or so, because um, this fall I'm planning on taking some more courses. Basically, be like a post bac sort of a thing, where it'd be like sort of boosting my GPA, because for grad school they look at your last 60 units apparently. So if I have the requisite GPA grades, all that sort of stuff in the right coursework, the last 60 units, which I guess for me, if I was gonna go full time school and work part time, then it would mean taking 12 units. I'm not pushing myself into the 14, 16 unit category. That's just it's unnecessary, and it's just gonna cause us problems for me that are kind of the reason why I'd be even having to do a post bac. So, that being said, like I only took those 16 unit semesters back to back, and then a 15 unit semester before that, so just so I could like graduate by a certain time, because financial aid was running out. But um, at this point, it's just 12 units per semester maximum, and getting those A's. But that being said, I'll need a source of income, and I want to get further experience, work and connections and such in this industry. So looking for something new in that realm. Um, But I guess the general gist of this video and my sort of state of mind right now is really ask myself, where do I go from here? Um, because dig a little bit deeper. A lot of the reason why I pursued excellence wasn't really because I was pursuing excellence or pursuing success in these areas. It was more like, I mean, anyone who's followed my channel for the last like 2 to 3 years, which is really it's taken off. I mean, I really only started vlogging on this channel back in 2016, and some of it, I say that first major streak I had where I went to almost 9 months was really truly, you know, digging deep into my psyche and kind of figuring out how I tick so that I could get rid of bad habits and essentially become a more disciplined person. And not just that, but just to make sure that I could handle the coursework I was having. Knowing that, you know, having made it this far, that I have the intelligence for this stuff. Okay, how do I not fail these classes because I can't get held back another year, etc., etc., and making sure I'd graduate essentially. So I had to kind of do a sort of self-analysis and then change my habits and my mindset and so on so I could do that. But then after that streak, it became so much of it became about the one-eyed girl and me trying to like impress her through doing XYZ, and then kind of trying to win her over, and then breaking up with the girlfriend. um and parallel to that, because essentially realized that the girlfriend was abusive, and it was sort of, it was a long distance relationship to begin with, but the girl turned out to be very much BPD in retrospect, I'd say. um and to a certain extent, obviously, also narcissistic. um just demanding of all sorts of things, and essentially expecting that I would live my life in a manner that sorry, notification, but that I would live my life in a manner that would basically be pivoting on or centered on doing whatever I possibly had to do to like make her feel comfortable in any way, shape, or form, even if it meant um, something as extreme as like quitting my job or changing schools or whatever the case may have been. And when I refused to do that, of course, the kind of true nature of her came out. And, so along the way, I mean, so much of the reason why I was pursuing um, excellence or success or whatever you want to call it was sort of, it wasn't that I was pursuing that in and of itself for its own sake or for my sake. It was more like I was doing it for the sake of somebody else. And I suppose that's one of the biggest reasons why I have this question of, where do I go from here? So there's that. As far as social stuff is concerned, I mean, my social life, I mean, not that I really had much of one before. I mean, I fenced, I had interactions with my fellow students, um, and then, of course, I had, work, but for the most part, it essentially, like, died down. Um, the most, I guess, crazy thing that's happened recently was that after I unfriended the one-eyed girl on Facebook and I took her off my LinkedIn network, she ended up actually getting connected with on Facebook one of, how should I explain this? This one person, this girl, who's one of my few like close friends in the major. Um, Her and this other girl who I kind of had a crush on. Kind of, we went up. She was they were the two girls I went and got dinner with that one time, and I called it a date because I also invited the other girl who, um, I found attractive, and liked and that sort of thing, who was quote unquote unattached, if you will. And the one-eyed girl, she knew about that because I like I said, I think in the video that I had invited her along. Basically acting like, oh, if you want to, hang out with her, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool too, sort of thing. And yeah, obviously she didn't go, but uh, the weird thing about her friending this girl on Facebook, which is kind of why I think about it, I've thought about it, is that you see, let's just put it this way: the folks who graduated this year, there were some of the folks who started back in 2017. They kind of were, for them it was supposed to be 2 years, and it was 2 years, and they didn't, it wasn't an extra year. And then there are the folks who started in 2016 with these classes, and we failed or we had to do whatever, something happened, and essentially we got held back by a year. And the one artist girl and these two girls and myself are from the 3 year plan. Let's just put it that way. But nowhere along there in the 3 years did like that girl have any interaction, or the one eyed girl have any interactions with this other girl who's a friend of mine. Never like gave her the time of day, never worked with her, never studied with her, never helped her when she was struggling with, let's say, thermodynamics. Like I helped her. Um, Neither of them. I mean, I'm sure she knew, oh, that's so and so, probably knew her name or so, or, saw her in class, but like, never really reached out to her or anything that I know of. But then suddenly, like, after graduation, out of the blue, she does that. It just kind of seems a bit weird, but um, maybe, I mean, it could be for anything of a gazillion reasons, but when I did see that, it just kind of annoyed me and such, because I've had the experience with that girl of her trash talking about me to my friends, and what I call her the one-eyed girl, doing that. So for a while there, I was kind of concerned that was gonna be the case, but then I suppose I realized or felt, having talked to my dad about it, that didn't sound masculine, and besides, like, we all graduated, it's not like it was going to have really any effect on my life, even with me planning on going back to take coursework, because it's going to be in materials engineering, which is in the same department, but still, I'd be, like, off on my own, and these folks are going, the four corners of the world, so to speak, and it's not like it's going to play some sort of major role in our lives, so it's kind of like it's like I shouldn't, oh, it's like I shouldn't really care per se. Um, but yeah, that's probably like the most, you know, that, and when I posted about me getting a cubicle at work, one of the folks from the fencing place, asked like, oh, if I was gonna be back to fencing because he thought I'd gotten a full time position, but um, I actually haven't been there. Period. I haven't felt the motivation. I guess I'm kind of looking at the spot I'm at in life, and like I said, like where to go from here. That's the big question in my head. I'm kind of wondering, that, and I've also been thinking, with all the progress I've made over the last 3 years, I've had these sort of what if questions of like, what if I hadn't faced all the things I'd faced before that with my family and been able to focus on working on myself, and where I'd be if that was the case. Because to make a long story short, I think I did talk about this in one of my earliest videos back in 2017. But if I were to go back to the end of high school, um, I ended up moving out to Florida after about a year just poking around the town because I got the chance to be in an ROTC program at this school over in Florida. And needless to say, that didn't last all that long. I mean, I obviously had my own immaturities, but there was also a lot of sort of like racism and such, given that it was the timing that it was right after September the 11th. Um, so I kind of became the scapegoat of that unit, and um, it's almost like if the shoe had been on the other foot with other folks in the program, they might have lasted longer or at least not been so ostracized. But needless to say, my immaturities combined with that sort of stuff led to me essentially being disenrolled from the program, and I came back to my parents' home from that. And in addition to that, I also had to deal with being robbed at gunpoint. So I don't know if, I mean, I use the term PTSD because, most folks, like, they're not psychologists or psychiatrists. So if you're going to, like, break it down to them very simply, you got to use something that they've heard before. And I had night terrors from that whole experience. And of course, I had issues coming over from the whole experience being in the RTC program, where I was kind of ze- zeroed out. No, it's kind of like singled out. That's the word. Singled out by the senior enlisted instructor there, who had just gone back from a series of combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and so he was all obviously all strung out from that whole experience, and since he thought I basically looked like the guys over there, he decided to kind of turn up the heat on me, so to speak, to get me out of the unit, so to speak, and that combined with the whole experience being robbed at gunpoint meant that for several years afterwards I had to spend time recovering from that, and I had night terrors. I'd be running through the halls of the house in the middle of the night screaming because I was like freaking out from that whole experience. And along that same time, my mom's drinking habits started to catch up with her. And so she went through a series of medical emergencies. Some of that was like complications from surgery from her first major occurrence, which she had a ruptured esophagus, 4 infections, um, was in the hospital for 2 weeks, nearly died that first time. 6 months later, she had a heart attack. She was out for 12 minutes without oxygen, so she obviously has motor impairment. And then at the same time, my sister came back from school. She had to essentially, she kind of almost had the same sort of thing that I did, ending up back home um, due to a combination of her own bad decisions plus, garbage with other people. But she ended up getting sick, got like chronic viral meningitis and some other problems, and right now she's still living, under their roof. And so for several years there were medical emergencies. There was me working through the trauma that I had gone through, and all along the way being expected in very a blue pill sense to sacrifice and put other people ahead of me. Even not even as I was struggling to work through my own issues and shortcomings and such, and the trauma that I had gone through, and a lot of the reason why, for instance, I picked up a friend or two who was not a good influence on me, or why I struggled academically, or why financially I struggled, etc., was because of not really being able to focus on myself, be my own mental point of origin, do the things that I've done over the last 3 years. Where I looked at myself in the mirror and was like, okay, what are my issues? What do I need to work on? What do I need to change about myself? Me. I didn't get to put myself first. I'd be expected to basically be this caregiver for my mom and my sister, which, I mean, in some sense it was the right thing to do. Um, but in another sense, it's kind of like, again, I gotta wonder, like, if I had been able to not have to do that and instead focus on working on myself, where would I be right now? And so I finally clawed my way out of there. Some of it had to do with honestly meeting the right people at my school and making friends with other folks who were going for engineering degrees or biology, chemistry, STEM degrees, math degrees, um, and sort of becoming more and more involved with that peer group, which then kind of started to bring back my old childhood dreams of becoming an engineer, scientist, um, contributing to society, getting involved with NASA, the whole astronaut dream, all that kind of stuff. And as a result of those influences, I started drifting away from the bad influences that I had in my life and focusing more on my school and clawing my way out of there. And, getting to here, where I have this roof over my head and I can focus on myself, you know. Heck, it's even something as fundamental as just being able to go to sleep when, I feel like sleeping. Even if I want to take a nap in the middle of the day, I don't have somebody pounding on my door, demanding that I go out and go on some errand for them to, like, pick up their medication or to go buy food for them or something of that nature. I have the 5, 10, whatever minutes, hours to sit here and just, clear my mind, think, um, do a ritual, pray, meditate, read a book, go online, whatever the case may be. Like, as long as I've done my work and I made the money and I, paid the bills and such, such I can go, and my time is my time, And back then it wasn't my time, it was, somebody else's time. And having to deal with a lot of resentment and anger and a lack of understanding and such, and lack of self-understanding. But that's kind of where my what ifs come from. That's sort of a short version of the last like decade or so. Basically kind of like wasting my 20s. Um, like I said, maybe like 40 to 50% from me, 50 to 60% from from sacrificing for others or having that blue pilled mindset. Blue pilled mentality. Treating myself as disposable, essentially. I guess you could say, and squashing a lot of my potential because of that. Um, so all that being said, it's kind of like I'm looking forward with life. Like there's a lot of possibilities, but there's also a lot of emptiness, and I'm like kind of like this canvas I gotta paint. And thinking about it in terms of Abramelin, Maslow's hierarchy. I'm having to work towards that actualization, self-actualization, and having to sort of figure out where I'm at along there, and then kind of solidify my hold on the different levels. That they move up. Um, so like I said, a lot of emptiness, a lot of possibilities, some sadness from looking back. Feeling like certain doors are closed forever, and you know, especially when it comes to the whole women, sex, love, marriage thing, it feels all closed off and dead. And huh, I feel like the time for that came and went, and I didn't really get to enjoy or live life as as I thought others got to. Yeah, but I don't know. Guess I gotta make the best of it. Anyways, that's it for me right now. NoFap day 9, going to day 10, and you know, I'll make another video maybe later tonight or tomorrow, but I'll write down some goals on here because I want to get to a month, then I want to get to 2 months, and then 3 months, and kind of work from there, and eventually get to a year. But I've got to have things along the way that I'm doing that, okay, I've reached a month, here's what I've done in this month, I've reached 2 months, 3 months, so on. Um, Working on different aspects of my life, but I don't really want to make this at all about, women, because I did that for the last 3 years, and while I did get some things accomplished, I've got to like kind of wonder what I would have accomplished if I just made it about success itself. So, anywho, talk to you folks later, and thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Bye.